Hi, thanks so much for tuning into our webinar. This webinar is for anyone in the asset management field to learn how YCharts can support distribution teams. Today we'll be discussing how to build competitive intelligence in order to best position your strategies. My name is Nicole Simos, and I'm a Customer Success Associate here at YCharts. Before we jump into things today, I've got a couple of housekeeping items for you. If you have any questions for me during the webinar, you can enter them into the Q&A box, and they will be answered by our team live via chat during the webinar. Keep in mind that the content in this webinar is meant for educational purposes only. It's not intended for it to be used as investment advice. And finally, we will be posting a recording of this webinar to our webinar homepage, as well as sending a copy of the recording to all attendees. As far as the agenda goes, today we'll be breaking up this webinar into 3 bite-sized pieces, showing you how you can leverage our monthly YCharts Fund Flow Report for market insights and opportunities. Next, we'll discuss how to build comp tables and build out different data views that highlight your fund family's strength versus competitors. And lastly, we'll review how to create presentation materials and visuals for externals to share with advisor clients to really elevate the conversations you're having with your advisors. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. YCharts releases a Funflows Report each month, which you may have seen hit your inbox. For those viewers unfamiliar with our Funflows Report, it's a heat map styled visual which shows the categories, funds, and ETFs with the biggest inflows and outflows in the month prior, in addition to some historical periods. We also offer a strategy flows report, which provides a more holistic view of aggregate flows for different strategies in the prior month, quarter, and year. You can find all past fund flows reports in our YCharts Fund Flows Report library. And all of our professional tier clients should receive the report via email around the 15th of each month for the prior month's flows. If you're not sure if you're subscribed to our Funflows reports or if you would like to access our Funflows report library, please chat in with your request and we will get back to you with a link that will give you access to the library or allow you to opt into our Funflows mailing list. So let me switch back to our Funflows report right now, and let's get started. This first page here will show you some market moves, taking a look at major market indices on the very top, and then their returns on the right-hand side. As we scroll down, we're just going to give you a closer look into the rate environment and a couple of economic data sets. Page 2 is where we really get into the good stuff here. We'll be taking a look at inflows and outflows of different fund categories. So as we can see here on the left-hand side, we're taking a look at the 5 categories that had the greatest inflows for the month of July. As you can see, foreign large blend is taking the lead here, followed closely behind by short-term bonds, muni national shorts, diversified emerging markets, and intermediate core plus bonds. In the middle column here, you'll see all of the fund flows for 1 month going all the way back to 1 year. And then on the right-hand side, you should take a look at the category returns, or as some folks like to refer to it as category averages. As we scroll down here, you'll see that we're breaking out these categories in additional detail. And we can actually take a look at the 5 securities that had the greatest inflow within each category. So one thing to note here is that this is industry-wide data using all share classes. So you might, for an example, see a retirement share here if it had a one-time event with greater inflows. So we're not really cleaning up the data at all or filtering down that data by share class. Now, how I like to interpret these fund flow reports is it's going to allow you to look closely into investor sentiment and really predict what's going on in the markets. For an example, if we take a look at intermediate core plus bond here, we might walk away with the conclusion that investors are wanting to move away from high duration and really get the best bang for their buck in terms of risk. If we take a look at foreign large blend, we might assume that investors are hoping to cast a wider net. And then coupled with diversified emerging markets, we might take a look and see how the dollar has actually rallied a bit from its recent lows. And when that happens, we can assume that investors are looking for a good entry point into anything outside of the US. The next step here would be to actually break down the data a bit more to filter it to your needs. So if we were to click into one of these categories, you'll notice that they're all hyperlinked. So if I right click into foreign large blend and open that up into a new tab, it's going to take us directly to the YCharts site. As soon as the page loads, you'll see that we're pulling in that foreign large blend category, and we're also filtering this down further to show only open-ended mutual funds. Comp tables has really turned into a powerful tool. So for our users not super familiar with this tool, I'm going to quickly highlight its capabilities. So first, you can continue to narrow down this list of securities here based on a set of criteria important to you, such as share class, fund family, or brokerage availability. Next, you can continue with your top-down analysis by adding in a variety of different metrics, such as AUM, expense ratio, and different performance metrics. We also have some very exciting new features that I'm looking forward to sharing with you that will actually empower you to turn your final comp table into a client-facing PDF report equipped with your company's branding. So the first step here, if we want to build out this comp table some more, is to start filtering down the results that we get at the very bottom of the table. So if I were to click into lists, I could then select this funds category. It's going to give us all of the fund specific criteria that we can use to filter down what we're looking at. So if I click into share class, we'll see all the share classes available to us to filter. Maybe we want to select the institutional share class. Once I click submit, you'll see that greatly narrows down our results here. And we can repeat this process. So say, for an example, you have a client who's only able to broker with Morgan Stanley UMA. We could certainly look up that brokerage availability and filter down our list of funds by selecting the brokerage availability category and then looking up that specific broker. Once we have that selected, we can click submit. And now we are looking at the funds only available via Morgan Stanley Select UMA. Another thing we can do here is we can start to add in some more metrics to really continue our deep analysis. So while you can certainly enter in metrics here, what I like to do if I'm bulk adding metrics is to click on this browse button, and then I'll search for the specific metric I'm hoping to add. So in this case, I want to add 1 month total returns. Once I find that metric, I'll give it a click. It's going to take me directly to that category where these metrics are housed, and I can automatically add in the 1 month, 3 month, and year-to-date total returns. It's also worth noting too that while we are looking at the fund level flows here, we also have a specific metric for the share class fund flows. So just in case you were interested in breaking that down a bit further, I would just start by typing fund flows and then note that it's a share class you're looking for. So keep in mind that that is an option. I'm going to go ahead and remove this currency column as all these securities are in USD. And the next thing I'm hoping to share with you is that new feature I mentioned, super exciting. So custom period, I'm going to direct your attention up here. And for our users who are familiar with comp tables, previously you might have noticed that you would have been limited to pulling in the most recent data that we have available. So now with custom periods, you can actually select the return period you'd like to show within comp tables. So it really allows you to stretch that power a little bit further. For the title, we can just enter in whatever period we're hoping to analyze. For this example, I'm going to note that this is since the market bottom. And then I can go ahead and enter in that first date. So I'm interested in looking at the period March 2020 when the market bottomed out. And then we can additionally select the type of return. So I'll go ahead and select total returns, and we'll add that column in. So at this point, what you can do is you can actually go ahead and click on any of these column titles, and you'll be able to filter from least to greatest or vice versa, and really take a look at what securities performed well or which securities were outperformed. Similarly, if you're hoping to filter by flows, go ahead and give that column a click, and you'll be able to take a look at the funds with the greatest outflows at the top here, or the funds with the greatest inflows at the very bottom. If you're happy with how this comp table has turned out, we do have an additionally new feature. If you click export, you'll be able to download this comp table as a PDF. Now, it should just take a couple seconds to download, and once it does, give it a click to open it up. And what we're looking at right now is your customized comp table that we just built out. So this really gives you a lot of power, because previously you may have been restricted to using comp tables while you were strictly in advisor meetings, whether that was in person or on a screen share. But now with this PDF report output, you can certainly distribute this report internally or externally to advisors. Your branding would appear below here. And as we scroll down, we can see the remaining funds on page 2, as well as any fundamentals and custom disclosures if I were to continue to scroll. Going back to comp tables, if we're wanting to dig even further into our analysis here, we can do a fund-to-fund comparison, and we can actually produce another PDF client-friendly report that's going to take a closer look at those two funds. So if I wanted to choose a couple funds here that had the greatest inflows, looking at that 1 month period, I can take a look at this MFS security and then this Invesco International Equity security. These seem like two pretty good options to me right now. Let me go ahead and jump into things by clicking into this first security here. I'm going to open that up in a new tab. And once I enter into that security, I'll be able to hit this reports button in the upper right-hand corner. Now you'll see we have a variety of reports here available for your use. I really love using the side-by-side comprehensive report. It's going to be our most in-depth report, covering things from risk to composition, a nice holdings comparison, and performance. Once I select this report, I can click start. And now I can type in the ticker or name of the other fund I'm hoping to compare to. Once I've got that security inputted, I'm just going to follow the prompts here and enter in the advisor name. And you can also customize this with all of your contact information. Once the report downloads, we can give that a click to open it up. You should see a nice title page to begin with your firm's logo. Really easily, you can see what you're comparing here and also provide your contact information. So as we continue to scroll, you'll see different modules in this report that's really nicely stacking up these funds against one another. So you can take a look at things like performance, key stats. As we continue to scroll, you should see more information going from asset allocation to exposure data. Any bond sector or stock sector exposure would appear here. You might pay attention and see that this module is blank. That's only because we're comparing two equity-based securities. So the fixed income modules will not populate with data. And as we wrap up here, you'll see that we do finish out with risk rewards, some standard deviation, and then your fundamentals and custom disclosures would appear below. It's a really great way to easily compare two securities and also have an awesome client-friendly output that you can then distribute. So that's everything I had for you today, touching upon our Funflows report, looking into how that report can help kick off ideas for market insight and pinpoint opportunities, and then taking a look into our site within comp tables, where we work from top down with those high level flows in order to dig into some deeper analysis and clearly highlight your fund family's strengths. Thanks everyone for joining us today. As I mentioned at the top of this presentation, we will send out a copy of this webinar to all who attended, and make sure to post it to our webinar homepage. Thanks again.